is the center quad of campus. Currently does not look occupied like this. We've all been working and studying from home since last March, but we are looking forward to returning and resuming classes in person in the fall. USC is a private research university located just a little south of downtown Los Angeles, and it is actually the only private research university here along the West Coast that offers a professional accredited degree in architecture. So what that means is that our architecture students are not only focused in their core academic discipline, but have great opportunities for learning all across the campus. In addition to architecture, there are 16 other schools on campus that study in a wide range of topics, whether it's business or engineering or music, dramatic arts, et cetera, et cetera. So all students take classes in general education, which are the liberal arts and sciences, but then some students will challenge themselves by trying to pursue a minor or even trying to double major. And so students who study in architecture can really diversify their learning through the liberal arts and sciences, which will really help inform them in terms of how they are going to make the decisions in terms of their design process as they create spaces for different populations. Being here in Los Angeles, we can take advantage of our city at large as a great learning laboratory. The building here on the right-hand side of the slide is of the Walt Disney Concert Hall here in downtown Los Angeles. It's about a 20-year-old building that really kind of turned around our urban landscape of Los Angeles, really revitalized it, and really paved the way for a lot of other great modern architecture that has been designed and built ground up in our city. And so our students do not have to go across city or state lines to see interesting architecture because it happens literally right in our backyards. And so having the resources of a research university in an urban environment like Los Angeles, students are able to learn in and outside of the classroom setting, and definitely taking advantage of the architecture of Los Angeles, along with all of the other arts and culture that they can draw inspiration from as well. Architecture education is a first step if somebody is interested in becoming a licensed architect. And so a professional accredited degree is what one would want to check out and pursue to fulfill that educational requirement. At the undergraduate level, the Bachelor of Architecture, or BArch, it fulfills that professional degree requirement. There's only 60 schools in the U.S. that offer the BArch, and so it's a pretty narrow list of colleges or universities. The 5-year BArch is a pretty rigorous program of study in terms of the fact that there are so many courses that students are required to take over the duration of 5 years. We characterize ourselves more as a design-based architecture program, so there's a course studio every semester that students take to develop their critical and design thinking skills through different design projects and exercises. They take core classes in the discipline and the liberal arts and sciences as well. We also do offer a 4-year Bachelor's of Science in Architectural Studies, and so that is considered a pre-professional or non-professional degree. It's a standard college degree, just like you'd find on any other college campus, as a 4-year length program, and it'll provide foundations in architecture, but it by itself would not qualify you to take the next steps towards licensure. You'd have to pursue a master's degree after a 4-year architecture degree to achieve the professional degree status. Everyone who applies to USC will only see the 5-year BArch option through the common application. And when students are enrolled at USC Architecture, you'll start your program of study in your first year. And if after 2 years, if you have maybe changed your long-term interests and goals, may no longer be thinking about licensure or just, again, taking a different direction, students have the opportunity to opt into the 4-year degree degree, and then completing their years 3 and 4 in the Bachelor's of Science in terms of the rest of the degree requirements. The biggest differentiation between the two degrees is that the 5-year program requires 5 years or 10 semesters of design studio coursework, and our 4-year degree requires 2 years or 4 semesters. So we have about 420 undergraduate students who study with us, and about 25 are in the 4-year Bachelor's of Science. And so most everyone is on the professional degree track. The students who do opt into the 4-year degree are those who generally stay within the realm of the built environment post-graduation. So they might go into graduate school in a related area, going into areas like real estate or construction management, urban planning and design, art direction. So likely continuing to intersect with architects and architecture, but not designing the buildings themselves. This is a snapshot of what the 5-year program requirements look like. And so you'll see the distribution of coursework where the majority is in architecture. So every semester, undergraduate students take 4 classes, 3 of which are in architecture. One is a design studio course. And so that's the hands-on drawing and sketching and model building, developing your skill set in the design process. And there are critical thinking courses in architecture in the form of your history and theory requirements. Those are your reading, writing, research courses in the discipline. The third course within the discipline each semester is related to the technology. So things like your building structures, the mechanical systems, heating, lighting, acoustics, ventilation, so all the things that make your building run. Along the way, you'll take professional practice classes in architecture that deal and focus on issues of building codes or legal, business, ethical issues, as well as electives within the school as well. So again, about 3 classes each semester in architecture, and the 4th class that's undergraduates will take is a university requirement. And so all USC undergrads take the sequence of courses related to writing, to general education, as well as electives. General education are the liberal arts and science courses, natural, social sciences, and they are from disciplines from all across the campus. So students have a wide range of topics that they are selecting from, and we tend to see many incoming students with 4s or 5s on some of their AP tests, or 5, 6, or 7s on their IB testing, because some of those testings may fulfill credit towards general education requirement. If that's the case, then students may have less coursework to take once on campus at USC, which will help alleviate your course load, or it could free up room in your schedule. And so we do have a handful of students who minor and pursue additional studies. These are supplemental programs that are anywhere from like 4 to maybe 8 or 10 extra classes in a wide range of topics from all across the campus. And so our students, while they're here in the professional degree program, are frequently seeking ways to enhance their overall academic profile, and pursuing a minor is a great way to do that. And so whether the topics are sometimes the topics students feel are more related and may benefit them professionally. So business or entrepreneurship, real estate development, real estate finance, urban planning. Those are topics that students feel go a little more hand in hand with architecture. Then there are students who pursue minors in topics that they just wanted to check out. So maybe dance or psychology or cinematic arts. And so once students are enrolled in the degree program, you'll sit down with your architecture advisor who will go over a course plan, and every semester will point out what your degree requirements will be. And with that, it'll help you understand if you might have room in your schedule to take additional courses, whether they're electives or maybe pursuing a minor. So it's not a requirement to fulfill a minor program of study. Maybe 20 to 30% of our graduating students will complete one in their during their program of study here. So I mentioned that one of the first steps to becoming a licensed architect is education, which is a professional accredited degree. There are also apprenticeship or internship hours, 3,400 3,740 hours to be exact, as well as licensure exams. There are 6 national exams, and California has a supplement because we have particular issues of seismic design or building codes that are unique to this state. So up to this point, nationally across the U.S., it has taken individuals about 12 and a half years to become a licensed architect, meaning when someone starts college, day one, you go through a 5-year professional degree, and then you graduate, you work, as well as taking license exams. So nationally, and again, this is an average, it's taken many individuals a significant amount of time. It's not to say that it has to take that length of time. There are many people who post-graduation, can be licensed after a couple of years. But, a program that some of our students are participating in is called IPAL, the Integrated Path to Architectural Licensure. And so this is a collaboration with the schools of architecture, the licensure board, the accrediting boards, and it's an opportunity for students to get ahead in terms of the requirements while they're still a degree-seeking student. As in addition to taking your courses, so a 5-year program of study, as students become eligible to take their license exams, one doesn't have to wait post-graduation if they are a participant of this IPAL program. So that means that after the completion of 3rd year, which is when you have the bulk of the content to be better prepared for the license exams, you could take these exams. You can have maybe study groups with your classmates, keep each other on track. And so it's a nice way to try to tackle some of these license requirements while you're still a degree-seeking student. There's also the opportunity or option to work during the summer times. So if you add up the hours of work from every single summer between the school years, plus another year of work experience, that should add up to the 3,700 hours required for licensure. So this is a newer program that's kicked off in 2016. And so the students who are participating or who are really taking advantage of the opportunity to take license exams more so than trying to complete all of their work hours experience while they're still a degree-seeking student. So it's an optional program that students can choose to participate in it if enrolled. The degree program at USC, it doesn't change. The degree requirements are exactly what they are. It's just a matter of working during the summers or taking license exams while you're still a student. I want to say there's about 25 schools in the U.S. out of about 130 colleges or universities that teach professional education in architecture that are participating in the IPAL program. So I mentioned we have about 420 undergraduate students who study with us. We also do have master's students. We have programs in architecture, building science, heritage conservation, and landscape architecture. So there's about 300 students who study at the graduate level. And so as a School of Architecture, we're sizable with a population of about 700 students. But when you're looking at the undergrad, about 400 or so, it's it's considered about the medium size compared to other schools across the nation. We have about 100 full and part-time faculty members that work with our students day in and day out. So these are frequent scenes that you would see a lot of students speaking one-on-one with their professors, getting feedback on their work, on their drawings, having critical discussions and conversations with them. For course instruction, I'll take studio as an example. Design studio, it meets every semester. It's a 2-time-a-week course, and so a total of 10 hours of course instruction with a design studio professor. We take the year level and divide everyone into sections, and so there are generally 12 students in one design studio section, times like 6 or 7 different faculty for that year level. So you get to work really really closely with this design professor who is tasked with working with 12 students for the semester. So they really get to know each of their students really well, really understanding the areas of strength, the areas that need more support. And so they are there to guide you throughout the design education process. It's a lecture lab course, as I mentioned. So sometimes it's a one-on-one review or critique with the professor. Maybe it's the 12 students in the section having a discussion as a group. Maybe it's the whole year level and you're having a group lecture. And so there are site visits that are part of the studio time. You could be in the library doing research. Maybe you're working on the fabrication of your model, using different equipments within the school. So a lot of different activities occur during the studio lecture lab time. It's not a pure 10 hours of someone just talking to you about architecture. It's really you working and developing your work as you have the faculty person who's there with you during that time. There are great ways for our undergraduate students to learn off campus. And so we currently offer semester-long programs outside of the United States. These are faculty-led and faculty-developed programs that provide degree credit towards the undergraduate studies. And so essentially you're registered for USC architecture coursework. You're just physically taking them in one of these off-campus locations. The Asia program typically travels to multiple countries such as Japan and Korea, China, Vietnam, Hong Kong, Singapore. There is a Barcelona-based program. They spend a little bit more time in that city, but they'll travel throughout Spain, like the Granada, Cordoba, Seville regions. The Italy program starts off south in Rome and moves on up to Florence and Venice, Vicenza, Como, as well as Milan. So all of these programs have about 18 to 20 of our architecture students participating, and it's very field studies based. There's a lot of walking and moving about, whether you're looking at different historical, cultural locations or monuments, or going on to museums or office visits. All three of the programs have connections with local university students, and so there's short-term design projects that you'll work on with local students because the project that you'll be working on for your studio requirements will be topical to the region that you're studying in. And so currently about 85% of all of our undergraduate students are participating in one of the semester-long programs, and we are looking forward to 100% participation. Again, currently we have these semester-long programs to these three regions. We are developing a program that will go into Mexico City, as well as maybe some field trips into South America. We'll also be developing shorter programs because there are some students who choose not to participate in a semester-long program for whether it's academic or personal reasons. And so we will develop shorter programs because maybe that'll work better in their schedules. So shorter programs that might travel internationally, as well as domestic or U.S.-based programs to see other parts of the U.S. And so, again, we would like all of our students to have 100% participation in studies outside of the USC campus. There are great ways for our students to get involved in supporting their fellow colleagues within the School of Architecture through the student organizations. And so these groups are tireless leaders who are supporting their classmates through all sorts of activities throughout the school year. They all have some level of social activities, but they really do focus on a lot of professional development type programming. And so it could be something related to licensure and bringing a guest speaker to address that. There are, guest speakers coming in about, their professional lives and careers, or maybe there's something about, like a resume workshop, or it could be kind of collaboration with the different organizations, during a certain time of the school year, to provide mentorship, to the lower division students. And so for students who are interested in getting involved, to supporting their fellow classmates and colleagues, student organizations are a great way to also meet students from other year levels, since it's across all of our undergraduate year levels. And we also have graduate level organizations. So sometimes these different groups, they collaborate on programming throughout the year. The USC Architectural Guild is a unique organization to our School of Architecture. These are volunteers from not just architecture, but the wide range of industries of the built environment. And so they come from, in addition to architecture, but landscape architecture, or engineering, or lighting design, or acoustical engineering, furniture design, construction management, et cetera, et cetera. And so these are professionals who work closely with our students throughout the year, supporting them and helping to make connections and bridge the gap between what you're learning in the classroom setting and how to best prepare to go into the professional practice. They launch their programming at the start of the school year with the mentorship program, and so you're able to connect one-on-one with a practitioner to learn more about them, their career, their trajectory, having a second pair of eyes and ears to hear you out as you work on design projects. Sometimes you go on site visits or office visit with them, and so depending on the nature of the connection that you make with this individual, you really can learn from them and better understand their professional background. There are typically office and site visits during the school year. They have been conducted virtually for this past school year. So the office visits is kind of like an open house. You can see what goes on in the setting, types of projects that they're working on, asking them questions about the company or the firm. And then it's like a networking event. There are site visits where we have a lot of great representation in all of the construction projects underway in Los Angeles. So you can get a hard hat tour behind the scenes even before the building is complete in terms of the construction process. There are design competitions that they fundraise for prize money. Their career week activities. So they provide support with resume workshops, portfolio workshops, mock interviews, social kind of networking, get-togethers, as well as a fair. So when we are normally in person, we have this in-person event. The image on the top left represents the booths. They set up tables. There are recent graduates who are coming back to campus and recruiting for internship and full-time positions. The past 2 years, so this and last year, we conducted these firms virtually. So there is a lot of professionals, locally, nationally, and internationally who are really interested in working with our students, helping them in their development as a student, and also helping them prepare for their next steps into the profession. So architecture is a professional degree. It has a rigor in the fact that there are just a good number of courses that are required of you in an undergraduate degree program, because your studies start your day one of college. It's very different from other college majors that might ease into the degree requirements. Architecture is your core classes will begin in your first semester of college. And so there is a significant amount of time commitment that students need to invest in their studies. So there are these design studios that we have for your course instruction. So this is where you would physically have instruction with the faculty person, but then this is also where you have 24/7 access to come back and continue working on projects or assignments. And so it is a very collegial work environment where you can really talk to your fellow classmates, ask them questions about what's going on, and it kind of simulates the professional workplace. With this past year, we have not required students to build any models or to fabricate anything, as students don't have access to materials or equipment. But when we are on campus, we have the CNC machines available. There are students who use 3D printers to develop some of their projects. There are laser cutters and as well as robotic arms, wood shop. And so these different tools and equipments are available to help students in the facilitation process of their building the models that they're constructing for their design studio projects. So student culture is an important issue or topic that we bring up because of the fact that it is a cohort-based learning experience. And so everyone who starts their program of study in a fall semester will follow the same sequence and requirements for the duration of their 5 years or 10 semesters. So you have a built-in network and support system with your fellow colleagues and classmates. And so it's a very unique type of learning experience for an undergraduate degree. These are students that you will see day in and day out. They become your closest friends and colleagues, and it's exciting because you're surrounded by like-minded people who are really excited and passionate about wanting to study architecture. And so students really develop great friendships, trust, in each other, and they are just generally really kind and helpful people. And so everyone really does bond and look out for each other. Just some general images of what a typical review would look like for maybe this is a final presentation. So we have some final drawings along with models that are on display. Because we're in Los Angeles, when we have these in-person reviews, it's great because our faculty, they come from all over and they know a lot of people in the industry as well as other educators. And so being in Los Angeles, there are a significant number of these practitioners and educators who are called in as guest jurors. And so you get a lot of great perspective and feedback from these individuals. And frequently I hear from students who say that one of their jurors approached them after a presentation to say they enjoyed it and to extend an opportunity to talk about internships or jobs as well. So being in Los Angeles really has a great benefit because of the number of resources that are readily available related to the professional practice. Because we've been on Zoom, we are able to expand the reach to practitioners and educators from across the nation and internationally as well. So it's a great opportunity for students to really demonstrate and display the hard work that they've developed within their studio courses. We take advantage of every possible space that we can within the school. And so this is a courtyard in between our buildings, Walt and Harris Halls. So this was an impromptu impromptu exhibit. Students, took out their bit of their larger scale models to display in the sunlight to kind of get some perspective about lighting design. And so this was just one afternoon and the day of a semester. But we have curated exhibits throughout the school year. There are different student work exhibits from different year levels, as well as faculty exhibits, because many of our faculty are practitioners or researchers. So it's really great to understand and see the engagement that they are involved in academically and professionally. We have a weekly lecture series, and so we're inviting noted professionals, not just in architecture, but the wide range of disciplines within the built environment. And so they come and share the work and the projects that they've been developing. There are different panel discussions or symposia. So in addition to the in-classroom learning, we bring these individuals to you as well during the weekly lecture series. Our student body is pretty diverse. We have more women than men who study at the undergraduate level here at USC Architecture. Our students are about 40% from California, about 30% from the other U.S. states, and 20% international. So you will be working side by side with students who may have some similar experiences and backgrounds as you, but for the most part, you're going to learn a whole lot from your classmates as well, because they'll come from unique experiences and backgrounds. And so you're going to have really great learning, not just from the faculty members but also from your fellow classmates as well. So going into the admissions requirements, and so I believe you all are thinking to apply to USC and to our School of Architecture for fall of 2022. So to give you some perspective, USC is a participant of the Common Application, and so there is an opportunity for you to let us know a lot of information about you in terms of your background, of where what kind of experiences that you've had in and outside of the classroom setting. So through your transcripts of academic coursework, through activities and clubs, organizations, or work or internship experiences that you've had through your activity summary sheet. There will be a long essay response in the Common App, and there are multiple prompts that you could choose from. Your teachers or counselors will let us know about you as well. And so they will write letters of recommendations and submit a school report on your behalf. And so this information is reviewed by USC admissions staff. But in addition to the common portion, there is also a supplement specific to USC. And so these are the questions that we as a university are interested in knowing about from each of you. And so when you do utilize the common application, the common portion goes to the multiple schools that you might be applying to that utilize the Common App, but then the writing supplements are specific to each university. And all of our questions are slightly different from each other, so you'll need to pay attention to those details. And so there'll be some short answer responses for you to let us know what it is that has drawn you to applying to USC, and specifically in this major of architecture. There are obviously a lot of colleges and universities out there, other schools of architecture, as well as other majors and disciplines. And so we really would like to know what has inspired and motivated you to want to study architecture at this university, and the reasons behind it. Maybe there was some sort of experience or a course or an opportunity that has brought you to USC and to architecture. So let us know what those circumstances or experiences have been through the writing supplement of the Common Application. So again, there's someone at USC admissions who reads the Common Application, and they are actually assigned to read all the applications from your high school, maybe from the high schools within your city or state or region of the world. And so that individual really does know about your school, the school system, the school district, different types of opportunities, the rigors that are associated with that school. And so that person is one of the people from USC admissions, one of the people who will review your application, the Common App, the common part as well as the supplement. But in addition to that individual, there's also our faculty in the School of Architecture who are also reviewing the Common Application. So they're going to read really carefully all the materials that are submitted by you, as well as teachers and counselors, to really get to know you and understand your overall experiences and backgrounds in academic preparation. But in addition to the Common Application, there is another supplement in the form of a portfolio. Because we are more design-based as an architecture program, we are interested in learning about you and your creative or artistic experiences. And so we ask that you send to us examples of any form of artistic or creative work. We have no expectation that high school applicants are submitting architecture work because it's not a compulsory subject in high school. It's generally not available. And so we are seeing many more examples of just other artistic or creative media, usually from high school level arts courses. But then there are many students who may not have access to arts courses in their schools, or the scheduling didn't work out for you. So we have students who participate in other types of activities. Maybe it's an after school or a weekend or a summer course or program that focuses in visual, creative, artistic activities. There are applicants who are naturally talented and have worked independently in different kind of projects and works that have helped them develop their creative point of view. So it's not specific in terms of what you must submit or where the work is coming from, because every applicant will have a very distinct and unique background that they're coming in with. And so anything artistic or creative. And so we're looking for 6 to 12 image uploads that will help our faculty understand what kind of experiences that you've had in visual ways of thinking. Because we're more design-based, the faculty find that applicants who have had some level of visual activity might be a bit stronger candidates for admission consideration. But the portfolio, it's not the one and only factor that will make or break an admission decision. It really is a holistic evaluation. So we look carefully at all of the content of the common application, really trying to understand your motivations to when you study architecture at USC, really trying to understand if your high school coursework has prepared you for the rigors of not just college, but a professional accredited degree. It is a rigorous program of study, and so we need to have the assurance that someone has the academic preparation for that. And again, the creativity gives a sense about the potential to become a student of architecture, not whether someone is already well-versed or an expert in any particular media. And so again, a very holistic evaluation of our freshman applicants. So when you apply through the common application and indicate that architecture is your first choice interest, you'll automatically get a prompt to say that a portfolio is required, and you'll get a link directly to a site called Slide Room. Slide Room and the Common App, they collaborate together, and so the two will link. So you have to submit the Common App in order to then submit your Slide Room. They go hand in hand, and so you'll be asked to upload images of your original work, and so take photos of your work if you're able to scan them. So however you can make a digital image file and uploading 6 to 12 files. And so you'll be prompted. There'll be some short answers like the title or the medium where you did the work, as well as a short description that you can include for each upload as well. So as you apply for admission through the Common App, the portfolio will be due at that same time. So in terms of a transfer preparation, there is more requirements expected of our transfer students. And so we are looking for the completion of 2 semesters of the equivalent to USC's lower division writing requirements. Our minimum math requirement is pre-calculus, so that needs to be either met or exceeded either through high school or at the college level. And so that's those 2 are musts for our incoming transfer applicants. We also hope that students are making progress towards some general education requirements, as well as taking coursework to prepare for the major. And so for transfer applicants, it's all case by case, depending on whether someone's coming from another 4 or 5 year college or university versus coming from a community college. And so those who are coming from another 4 or 5 year program, whether it is or is not architecture, we definitely recommend you to take the coursework that's required of the degree that you are, the declared degree that you are pursuing. And so we want to make sure that our students are on track for that program of study, because occasionally students will change their mind along the process and decide not to transfer. And so just make sure that you're on track for the prescribed program for your degree at your 4 or 5 year institution. Students who are at a community college should focus on the general education, as well as the writing and the pre-calc requirement, as well as preparing for the major. In terms of our transfer student placement, and so it's not based on the number of units or years completed at any college or university. It's going to come down to the skills demonstrated in a portfolio. And so you might want to take a snapshot of this or a screenshot. And so the first year skills that are covered in our fall and spring semester design studios and the design communication courses are listed here. year. And so the hope is that for our transfer students, these terminologies are familiar to you. And if so, then that's a good way to then demonstrate your skills through the work that you'll submit in a portfolio. Because transfer applicants should really focus on the skills that they have developed through their program of study in the portfolio. And so while we have a general understanding of what type of architecture content is covered in local or regional schools, every individual has a particular skill or talent or ability. And so we definitely want to see that explicitly through the different examples of work that you share with us. And so we can't guess that you have a mastery in any particular area or focus. And so students who have little to no background in these skill sets that are listed here under the first year option will be considered for first year of the 5-year program, regardless of the number of units that someone might be coming in with. If a student has had many of these skill sets, but the faculty will sometimes evaluate and find that there are certain areas that need more development, that need, or areas that just may not have been covered at your institution, then the student can be recommended for our summer studio. Summer transfer studio is essentially our first year curriculum in architecture compressed into a 6-week course of study. And so it's an accelerated summer. There are 2 accelerated summer courses that students would take that really going over these basic first year skill sets. And upon completion, the student will place into second year of the 5-year program. There are occasionally students who do apply, from other 4 or 5-year programs that may have completed the first, second, third year. The placement is not automatic in terms of the next sequential year level. Again, it will be based on a portfolio review. But generally speaking, USC requires all undergraduate students to complete at least half of the degree requirements at USC to achieve a degree. And so there's no way to place really higher than third year into the degree program. So it's all a case-by-case circumstance. We will evaluate the application and portfolio during the standard deadlines to determine admissibility. So USC has not yet published deadlines for fall of 2022 or beyond. And so these are the deadlines for this current cycle that we are wrapping up. These deadlines generally stay the same from year to year. And so you can just kind of mentally, put this, file this away for now. But when August 1st comes around, that's when the common application will launch. And that's when USC will publish its deadlines as well. And so for freshmen interested in merit scholarship consideration is traditionally a December 1 deadline, and all other freshmen should apply by January 15th. USC does not participate in early action or early decision, so it's really about merit scholarship consideration when students would apply by the earlier deadline. Transfer applicants only have one deadline, whether for admission or scholarship consideration, and that date is February 1st. So those are the basics that I wanted to cover. Also to mention is that for 2022 and 2023, freshman applicants will not be required to submit an SAT or ACT. USC will continue to be test optional for 2 more years. Alrighty, so I'm guessing you may have some questions that you want to know about the school or the application process. So if you are comfortable unmuting and or turning on your videos, you can verbally ask the question, or you could type them into the chat as well.
Hi, could you please elaborate a little bit more about the merit scholarship?
Sure, so USC offers, feedback. So USC offers merit scholarship opportunities for freshmen and transfer applicants. And so these are full, half, or quarter tuition scholarships, and they are administered all across the campus. For architecture, we have a handful of students that are extended the opportunity. And so everyone who applies by the December 1 deadline will be considered for one of these scholarships, and there's an interview process that goes along with it for freshmen. And so it's a holistic evaluation focusing on the academic preparation, as well as the information that you share in your application to help us understand, how excited or interested or motivated that you are to study architecture at USC. And so it's also looking at the portfolio as well. And so this year we had a little bit more than 1,000 freshman applicants, and we were able to offer awards to 6 of those students in terms of these merit scholarships. And so this is really based on the academic preparation, which is aside from need-based financial aid for students and families who need support to afford the cost of attendance. That is a financial aid application process, which is outside of merit. For transfer applicants, so everyone who applies by that February 1 deadline is considered for admission as well as merit scholarship. And so that one does not involve an interview for transfer applicants, and it's usually in the range of like a quarter tuition scholarship. So when you're after this session, what we'll do is follow up with an email. We'll share some links with you, and one of will be to USC scholarships. And so in addition to these, the quarter full half tuition awards, there are other scholarships that are administered across the campus as well. And so there is a listing of these opportunities, and so you'll want to check them out because for the most part, many of them are when somebody applies by their designated application deadline, then students are automatically considered for those other scholarships as well. But you also just want to be mindful that some of them might have a particular requirement or something additional that you need to submit. And so be sure to check those out a little bit closer to at the time that you plan to apply. But you could check out what's available now to get a sense of those resources.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So what else might you want to know about?
I had another question
Sure.
about the portfolio. So would it be okay to like submit like a music piece? Because like I was interested in like minoring in music. So if I were to create like a musical, like a composition or something, would that be okay like as a submission?
Yeah, no, it's wide ranging in terms of the creative backgrounds and experiences that our students have. And so, sure, I mean, a lot of the examples that we end up seeing are more on the visual arts, but then we definitely have many students who participate in the performing arts as well, whether it's with music or theater or dance. Also to some extent with cinema. And so sometimes students will share kind of still images of like a performance or a choreography, or there is actually one of the options through that 6 to 12 image upload. One of them, it can actually be a link to a video through YouTube or Vimeo. And so we'll see examples of students' performances or their compositions or dances or whatnot. And so that's definitely something that you can consider sharing with us because, in addition to performing arts, there's students involved in story writing or videography, poetry. And so there's no standard right or wrong in terms of how to demonstrate creativity. The creative aspect, I mean, it's going to help our faculty understand, if you have had opportunities to kind of think more abstractly, conceptually, because architecture design, it's not always just about the black and white of, right and wrongs. Sure, I mean, there's like technical, structural principles. You got to make sure your building functions. And so sure, math and science, is a consideration. But in terms of design, every person has a different perspective and interpretation and understanding, that's different from one person to the next. And so, any kind of creative visual performing activities, we think tends to help our applicants, develop those creative perspectives. And that's something that can contribute in architectural education, because it's not about the faculty telling you, something is right or wrong. They're really there to help you develop your ideas and skills. And so, it's each individual has to make some, those tough decisions in terms of, how they want to represent their ideas, and that the creativity is what comes into play when you're working on these design projects. To think kind of out of the box or more innovatively, because we're not educating students to reproduce existing types of buildings. There's no fun in that. There's a lot of other buildings out there, and we've already seen them work, or maybe they don't work so well. And so it's really about each individual, really imparting their point of view of what they think this particular design or issue, how it should be addressed. And so any form of creativity is really going to be up to each applicant to share with us.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I just have a quick question about because I know this program, 5-year programs are usually quite rigorous. So I was wondering if you noticed if a lot of other students participated in minors or outside programs. Because when I was looking at other schools, I found that they either didn't offer or didn't really recommend that students did that. So I was wondering if at USC it was a little bit different, if it was more possible to pursue other things, for example, because I know you were talking about it before.
Yeah, it really is. We leave it up to the student to make some decisions about how they want to craft their academic and their personal career while they are here at USC. And so the degree program, yes, it's rigorous. You have a lot of courses and the time commitment, but it doesn't need to take over your whole lives unless you kind of let it. I know that's kind of weird to say, but as students get more acclimated, with what they're doing, how they are a student, they start to learn, some key ways to manage their time so that they can have a full college experience. We have students who major in architecture, again, about 20 to 30% minor in a subject outside of architecture. There are students in the Greek system, different clubs or organizations, students who work, either on or off campus, students who volunteer their time. Students can have a really full college experience if that is, of interest to you. But ultimately, the tough decisions are, learning to prioritize. I remember, it was a couple of years ago, we had a student who, after his first year, he kind of tried out all of these different clubs and activities. In his second year, he was literally in 10 different clubs and organizations because he really just wanted to, be involved. And then in his third and fourth year, I think he pared it down to, a handful, maybe about 4 of them or something, because he realized he wasn't able to put in as much time through those different organizations. And so, students, have to understand that 24 hours can go by really quickly. And so I think the students who are a bit more mindful of time management tend to have, much more kind of broader college experience because they are really scheduling their every waking moment. Some of our students work with academic coaches on campus. They are there to literally help plan your schedule. And so, they'll say, okay, you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Do you need to eat breakfast? Do you plan to go work out? How much time for that? Then you have your classes, scheduled throughout the day. And then they'll see where you have pockets of time. So is that time dedicated to studying or going to a club meeting or, going to, take a jog or whatever it is. And so a lot of our students have said it's just really helped them, put things into perspective of, how much time that they really may or may not have. And so, it's not easy because not everyone is as regimented as, they would like to be. And that's perfectly fine as well. It's just, really acknowledging and understanding, what, your personal limits are, but then also challenging yourself so that you can have a full college experience, whether it's academic or extracurricular. And so it's hard not to take advantage of a lot of things that are across campus, academic, extracurricular, just getting into the city at large, and, whether it's going surfing or hiking or skiing, and you could probably do all three in the same day if you're really ambitious. And so, again, we want students to have a diverse college experience because it's really actually going to inform you in terms of how you think about spaces and different places, and really kind of inspire you as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I had a question. So I'm currently a first-year architecture student, and I'm planning to transfer to USC for my third year. So I was wondering if I should begin the transfer process through my counselor, or if I should get in contact with the USC counselor.
Sure. So we've pretty much finished our transfer process for 2021. So you should consider applying for 2022. And it's just, checking out the USC website, when the application goes live for the Common App to see how you can get prepared. Just maintaining your portfolio development after each semester so that it's a work in progress. And so that'll be easier for you to submit at the time of application, which will then be the start of your second year of the program. And so, there are USC counselors on campus that can help you, that they are assigned to working with applicants, from your school or from your region, but then you could reach out to us as well if you have particular questions. We don't review applications or portfolios in advance of the deadline. And so, we just ask that you be mindful of your curriculum at your institution to stay on track towards degree progress, as well as completing or keeping up to date with your portfolio. So whether it's through USC admissions or through us here in architecture, then we could help, answer or facilitate any questions that you have.
All right, thank you.
Anything else that might be top of mind? Might have come up. Alrighty. Well, if not, again, we're going to follow up with an email. And so we'll include some links that we think might be helpful for you in the application process going forward. And so keep an eye out from emails from us, from USC admissions. And if any questions come up along the way, then just hit reply and let us know. So thanks so much for taking time to meet with us today here at USC Architecture. We know it's really hectic, being, trying to learn about colleges and universities through a virtual format, but fingers crossed that everything will resume in person in the fall. So hopefully there'll be opportunities for student visits in the future. So, but in the meantime, stay well. Good luck with the rest of your academic studies this school year, and fight on.